Hi everyone, welcome to Curated by Becta's Meal Kit number 88 for February 17th through 19th. Thanks so much for ordering this week, and thanks for letting us be a part of your special celebration at home. We have a delicious and really creative menu for you this week. If you look behind me, we've got a few pots and pans, and my apologies for the dishes, but I promise it's going to be worth it. We've got three hot courses actually tonight. Probably the first time I think we've done this, but you know what? It's cold out and we need a little bit of warmth in our lives. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to focus on the appetizer, although I've gone ahead and put our lentils in a pan for the main course with 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter per person and the cauliflower puree in another pot. And those can warm up throughout the meal if you like on medium-low, and they'll get there when we get there. Anyway, another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pan for the first course for our seared halloumi, and I just want to make sure this is to medium-high heat. Yes. And so I'm using grapeseed oil, but you can use canola oil or vegetable oil if you don't have that. And we've got 1 tablespoon per person of that going in there, and I'm going to need it again for the main course, so I'm going to move it over here. So once that pan gets nice and hot, then we are going to get started. I've got all of the different ingredients laid out here. I'm also going to go ahead and get our duck ready. So I've taken it out of the sous vide bag and I've patted it dry on paper towels. And now we're going to season it with salt and pepper, both sides. And we've already cooked this to rare sous vide, so it's super tender for you. And I've got a cast iron pan. If you do not have one of these, it's the best $20 that you will ever spend in your kitchen. Now, I always overcook the duck because I forget that I'm not cooking it from scratch. So when the pan is medium heat, I'm going to put it in there, not too high, and then it is going to render the fat over 6 or 7 minutes, and then we have to flip it over and then rest it for 5 minutes. So that's going to take the longest time. So our pan for the halloumi is probably good to go. So we want a nice golden brown crust on there. I think we said 3 minutes per side. Yep. So while that's happening, we are going to take our arugula and we're going to toss it with the chickpea and our dressing. Now there's two dressings that come with this. And so the tahini mint dressing is the one with the green sticker on it. And you want to get all that goodness in there. And then toss it around with some salt and pepper. Let's see, yes. So it's going to be a little thick. Make sure that you take it out of the fridge early so that it can warm up. A little salt and pepper there. Don't want all the dressing clumped to my tongs. Another thing you can do in the meantime, we've got our pickled onions, and we're just going to drain the liquid out of there. The pickling liquid is great to preserve it while they're in travel, but we do not need it for the garnish. Okay, so I know I've got to switch this over. Perfect, the pan is nice and hot, so I'm actually going to turn that off right now, and I'll keep this back. So then for our harissa yogurt, we're going to spread it out on the bottom and make sure it covers a good part of the bottom of the plate, and especially around the edges so that you can see it. This is a real sort of Middle Eastern flair dish. There we go. That is good stuff. Okay, so the duck pan is ready to go on medium. So that is going to render for 6 or 7 minutes the fat. while we're finishing up the rest of this stuff. Okay, so harissa yogurt down first. Next plate, the chickpea and arugula salad on the left, or everyone's got a different left or right in this case. Yeah, like this stuff you can't get at home, and you're not going to get it at Farm Boy. There's so many great components to this. If you're having guests over, they're going to be blown away. Make sure to get all the nice dressing in there as well. Okay, duck's doing. Next, we're going to top the salad with the pickled red onion. Might give you a little less than this because this is a lot. That's why I do the YouTube videos, is to give the chefs feedback. Yeah, we're definitely going to go a little bit less on the onion, but I'll keep that for later because I love the pickled onion. I'm going to take the halloumi out, and then the almonds as well for a nice crunch and nuttiness. This is one good looking appetizer. And then the seared halloumi, they say leaning on the salad. I'm going to go with that side. There we go. This is guy's going, that guy's going, that's all good. So why don't we show you the beautiful seared halloumi appetizer with the arugula and chickpea salad, harissa yogurt, and of course our tahini mint dressing. All right, main course stuff and dessert, by the way. Make sure to prep this by getting it out of the fridge and putting it on a baking sheet with a piece of parchment paper, because it's going to be best when it goes in the oven. By the way, the appetizer wine is really interesting tonight. So this is from Spain. It is a Macabeo from Carignan. On its own, briny, salty, delicious. But with the halloumi, you're going to see all of the vibrant fruit come forward. So make sure to pay attention to that. We've got some butter needed. 1 tablespoon of butter per person, unsalted always, with the lentils. Now I'm going to make sure the lentils are giving them a nice stir. And the cauliflower puree, same thing. Give a nice stir. I think it's time we can increase the temperature here a little bit on both of these things. There we go. And once your duck is resting is when you can get the sauce going on, because it has to rest for 4 minutes or 5 minutes. And I need some more tongs. And then that is when you can do your sauce, because most people only have 4 elements. So I promise it's not going to be that complicated. But let's go ahead and get rolling on the veg. Medium-high heat, I believe. Yes. So for me, that's a 7. Again, we're looking for 1 tablespoon of neutral oil, grapeseed, canola, or vegetable oil per person. And we're going to get our sauce financier ready. So demi-glaze and then some truffle butter that's going to be added in and emulsified at the end. So while that guy is warming up, get my veg ready. I'm going to tell you about the red wine. So this is a red from Sicily, south of Italy, and it's Syrah, which does not normally grow there, but it is a beautiful wine. Syrah, indigenous to northern Côte d'Aron, southern Côte d'Aron and northern Côte d'Aron, but really known in the northern part. And the way that Connor describes it, low alcohol Syrah ages for 12 months in stainless steel, retaining its fresh and floral character. It's juicy and lively with dark fruit and red floral notes. It is all of those things. I want to do a special shout out tonight because some of our favorite customers have ordered for this week. So Jackie and James and the amazing team at Compass Rose, our neighbors at Play, our upstairs neighbors, thanks for bringing all of your staff members together to have a celebration with Curated by Becta. I hope you guys love it. All right, let's see how our duck is doing. Rendering nicely. All right. As you can see, I tend to be a little impatient. I posted something on Facebook a little while ago that I saw. And one thing is about cooking, don't move the food around too much. And I tend to be a little impatient and I always want to see how things are going. So the cauliflower, we're going to get a nice little crust on it. So 3 minutes just with the cauliflower, and then we're going to add the shiitake mushrooms for 2 minutes, and then we're going to add the kale after that with the butter. So get things rolling. I might even do the dessert now. So 5 minutes until warmed. Our blondie goes in the oven. I'm only doing one dessert because my family doesn't eat all these desserts every single week. Two of my family members are smaller than I. Wow, this is rendering out really nicely. And then we're just going to flip it over and be good. So with the rest of the dessert, blondie is center of plate, and we're going to top with the dulce de leche and chocolate crumble. So let me get a spoon ready for this guy. So the duck has got this nice crust. So I'm going to turn it over for 1 minute, and we're going to do 1 tablespoon of butter per person for the duck. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. Spoon the butter over the duck for 30 seconds. So once the butter is melted, and then we're going to let it rest for 5 minutes. So the butter and the duck, or butter and the duck fat, are going to be your wonderful basting. And this is what it makes restaurant quality dishes at home. I hope you guys enjoy these videos and you learn something from it. Okay, so I'm going to turn the duck over. This guy can be turned down to low because I'm going to make the sauce of it in a second. I'm sauteing my cauliflower so it doesn't burn. I might turn this down just a notch. And I might force it over to where it's not brown already. Duck is looking good. So I do it on a cookie sheet for resting. That way the heat can get under there. Now I'm going to move this to the back and this to the front. And then we've got our Financier sauce, which is going to need a spoon to get it out because it's a demi-glaze. And I bet you're at 3 minutes. So let me add my shiitakes to the cauliflower. Give that a little stir. And this guy, we want to melt this up over medium heat, and then we're going to add and emulsify our butter. A couple butter to that. But this guy is probably ready for our butter because all of my oil got sucked up by our cauliflower, so I'm going to move forward to that. Okay, let's have some wine. I love this Syrah. So in terms of plating, we're going to have the cauliflower puree first, then the lentils, then the vegetables. We're going to slice the duck breast equal thickness, very thin as much as you can. After the 5 minutes of resting, very, very key because all the juices go back into the center and then it keeps the duck really moist and juicy. So let's make sure I'm giving that a stir. And the lentils too. So really you only need 4 burners for this, but you do use 5 pans. My dessert might be a little mistimed, so I'm going to cancel the heat on this guy because I might plate it after the main course. We'll see. Okay, the butter's melted, so the kale's going in. 2 minutes there. Make sure to give it a nice stir. And you can certainly stir it with tongs or a spoon. I just like to flip because I used to be an omelet cook at Pete and Marty's in Orleans, Place d'Orleans, and I would do 300 omelets every morning at brunch. And so I got good at flipping, and I really liked it too. Okay, I'm going to need a knife, salt and pepper to finish things. Okay, the sauce financier is there. So now we're going to put the truffle butter in. This is almost like Big Night In kind of stuff, or New Year's Eve kind of stuff. That's the last time I think we had the sauce financier with the truffle butter. Turn that guy off. I bet you everything is probably good, so I'm going to turn that off. And then we just want to emulsify with a little whisk once the butter melts in there. You know what? While the duck is resting and everything's rolling there, I think I am going to plate the dessert. It's been about 5 minutes. Here we go, Blondie. That goes right in there. Then dulce de leche. Let me do it over here so you guys can see. I'm going to put the dulce de leche right in the center, because then it will provide the excellent moisture for the Blondie. Of course, I have to taste along the way. And then we have the chocolate crumble. Lovely. There's my son who is starving. Coming down very soon. Clean that up. Our lovely Blondie with the dulce de leche and chocolate crumble. All right, main courses. Let's do it. Okay, this guy is definitely ready to go, and stir it up for a little emulsification. So cauliflower puree first. Spread it around on the plate. Plating is all about geographic forms, I think. In this case, circles very important. As you see that plates are circles in most cases, although some of your pictures that you send us or post online, which we're very grateful for, are squares, and that works too. Okay, lentils next. Make sure I get this right. Lentils on top, followed by the veggies. These are Depuis lentils, which are like the greatest lentils in the world. They're from France originally, but did you know that Saskatchewan actually grows like 10% of the lentils in the world? I don't know why Saskatchewan is such a great place for lentils, but it sure is. So they're probably French lentils that are grown in Saskatchewan, I would bet. Veggies are next, but before I put them down, I am going to slice the duck. So fat side down for slicing is easiest. And if I did my job right, this is still going to be a gorgeous medium rare inside. Which it is. Finally, I didn't overcook the duck this time. Usually curated duck I overcook because, again, I put it on high heat versus medium heat to render the fat because I think I need to sear it. I have to keep remembering that Chef Rich and Chef Megan do the heavy lifting. Okay, before I spread it out, we're going to go with the veg. All these gorgeous different colors. You know what? I realized I didn't season this with salt and pepper, so I'm going to do it afterwards. Thankfully, I remembered. Make sure you're seasoning with salt and pepper. Both the veg and then again on the duck before you're plating. Give the sauce a little stir. So flip it over with your knife. You can fan it out nicely, because when you fan it, that way the salt and pepper goes in the duck. Don't be afraid to use your hands here, guys. This is very important. crunchy salt if you got it. That is looking gorgeous. Okay, and then finally, the sauce financier, one more spoon to get dirty. Your dishwasher will be working hard tonight. Sauce on top and around the plate. My son is waiting in the wings, just dying to get ready for dinner. As soon as I take some pictures for the email that I send you, we're going to be good to go. But in the meantime, here is your beautiful duck magret sous vide with the cauliflower puree, the dubuis and lentils, roasted cauliflower, kale, shiitake mushrooms, sauce financier with the truffle butter. There's a lot of stuff going on in tonight's meal, but I hope you love it. It's going to be worth it, I promise. And thanks for all your support. Thanks for letting us be a part of your special celebration at home.